Hey everyone, this is Groovis X, and I'd like to thank you for your time. And I wanted to tell you that Dungeon Crusade, there's the box, it's finished. You can go buy it in your local game store. I'm just kidding. I made this just to show you that this is kind of like an overview now. I'd like to say forget what you watched before, just forget that all the older videos of Dungeon Crusade. And I held off making this video for a few days because I wanted to show it at its finest and fairly polished. There's still some play testing that I have to do, but if you're a veteran and you've watched this, and you know who you guys are, actually always put comments, thank you. And for new people, welcome. And let me share just a 15-second story. I've had this idea to make the ultimate dungeon crawl game since I was a kid. And 7.5 years ago, I put it into motion, and I created a Dungeon Crusade game and got a hold of Hasbro and made a dungeon board and cards and dice and all that. So recently, about a year and a half ago, I bought all of the D&D board games, and I wanted to show you now at this state how polished it is and the new light and dark system that I think I've never seen it in another game like this. So from here on out, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put a bunch of scenarios up that are 30 turns, and the game is no longer that long. I think I'm going to do like play test videos and let you see how the game is shaping up. And if you've watched these before, this compares to nothing like you've seen. And it's just highly polished, and the light and dark system really opened up a lot. So let's do a pan around the board first to get everything that's going on. And one of the things I've noticed that I can't really use some of the stuff from the games anymore. I had to go out and actually design all of the maps and the boards you're going to see along with some of the tokens. And as a side note, I wanted to tell you that the treasure cards are going to be gone. I'm developing brand new treasure cards because Dungeon Crusade is coming into its own game and kind of growing out of this and just evolving into the dungeon crawl game that I wanted, and I think a lot of other people that I've seen for years and years and years wanted to. So I'm going to just glance over stuff. Hopefully you can catch this. I'm using the tiles from the D&D board games, and I said in my other video, if you watched, these white arrow tiles signify that that's a bright room. There's light in that room. And the ones with black arrows are dark rooms, and that you really can't see in them. And it was in that, when I discovered that or thought of that this game really, it just kind of, after 7.5 years, it just opened up and it just started making itself, or just at least how my brain was processing it. So that light and dark system has a lot to do with your heroes, how they explore. The encounters now, if you know these D&D board games, you know how in the encounters pretty much whittle your hit points away. I like the encounters. I think they're overused. The way that I have them now, they're done very tastefully. I think they're you know, 1, 2, 3, maybe more a game, but not that. It's usually 1 to 3 a game, 1 to 3 encounters a game. So we'll get to that. So I had to explain this. So again, white arrows, bright, you know, light rooms, black arrows, dark rooms. Again, this is the first thing that I changed was a village. And I'm just going to scan over this because I'm going to try to keep this at 10 minutes so I can show you the first play test video, and that's what we're going to go with this. In the village, let's start with this up here, the turn order. The round order for Dungeon Crusade is you pick a hero, you do his movements, you explore. That's when you roll, depends if you're playing a normal difficulty, you roll a d4 and you move, and then you go into explore, and then you pull that many tiles. So say you rolled a 3, you would place 3 tiles. After that, you would place monsters on those tiles, and then you go to the encounter phase, and you would roll a d20 to see if an encounter occurs, and that's tied directly to, you know, how much, I guess, evil is in the dungeon and if the light is fighting it. Again, we'll get to that. 4th, you resolve combat, and then 5, you go to the village and shop with the gold that you got from the battle and to buy powers and healing. So let's start with that here. This was the biggest addition to Dungeon Crusade. It's a full-blown village. And just up here, the merchant, he sells items. And kind of like a tip of the hat from World of Warcraft that has common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. Going down here, there's a temple. Some of the stuff I added here. Healing surges, I'm going to again just go very quick with this. Healing surges you take into the dungeon. There's only 4, however many heroes there are, that's how many healing surges are available. And if your hero goes down in the dungeon and a hero has a healing surge, you can revive that hero. If that hero dies in the dungeon and you don't have a healing surge, that hero's gone. This recently got added, and this was a much needed addition for this new Dungeon Crusade because it is very hard. When you come back to the village, there's a healing fountain, and you can come up to it 1 time per visit, spend 300 gold, and you roll a d4 and recover that many hit points. Fortunes and blessings, you're allowed to buy 1 per hero. Little has changed with this. You're allowed to reveal this when you want, but you can only have 1 on each hero, but 1 at a time. The Academy is where you buy your new powers by spending your XP. Something also that's changed that's needed with this variation with Dungeon Crusade. Once per round, you're allowed to use your daily and utility powers, and then you flip them. However, going back here into the village, I added an inn, and per hero, if you spend 100 gold and rest at the inn, you're allowed to flip these back over for the start of a new round. And believe me, it's not a lot. It's needed in this game, and it added tremendous fun and just a great game mechanic to be able to use those. Allies Realm, again, this hasn't changed. For 300 gold and 5 XP, you can recruit one of the allies to go with a hero. 1 ally per hero. And torches have been added. These are the torch tokens, and I thought it was kind of slick. There's when you buy it in the merchant shop, and then when you light it, you flip it over, and it's a lit torch. So right now there's going to be 5, maybe 6 torches per game, but and they're 100 gold. And when I get to it, these things can save your hero from dying, and I'll get to that. Treasure, as I said, they're all color-coded now for legendary, uncommon, and these down the road are going to be out of the game. I'm making really, really nice new treasure cards with graphic pictures, and it's going to add a lot to Dungeon Crusade. Initiative markers, tokens. You draw initiative tokens at the beginning of combat. It's very balanced, and it's just a great system. And these are the tokens that I made. They came out very nice. So that's how that went to. The greatest addition was, depending on your difficulty, the monsters have increased hit points now. This wasn't like, if you watch the other videos, they don't die so fast. And when I was playtesting it, what I thought was good, the heroes got killed. So, and again, that's the healing fountain was much needed. Another thing is, heroes can only see, if it's a light room, they can see past it. For instance, where's one? If a hero was here and revealed a white arrow, he could see into that room. If it's a black arrow, he can't see any further. So see that unexplored edge? He couldn't see that. However, if you lay a torch down, it lights the room, and then you could place another tile. Again, I only got 1.5 minutes, and I want to scan over this. So again, in the playtesting videos, you're going to see all this in play. And another big thing that I made was this board here. And there's 4 difficulties: novice, normal, heroic, and legendary. These 2 are still, I'm playtesting them. The playtesting, the videos you're going to see are going to be on normal difficulty, and it's quite challenging. And let's see, lastly here is the encounter track. And I'm going to have to be quick here. Depending, when you flip a tile and it says, you know, it's a black arrow, a dark room, you move the counter here down by 1. Say you had 3 tiles. The next one is black, another dark room, move it down. The third one's a white, you move it up. In the encounter phase, you roll a d20. And as long as you roll under that, there's no encounter. So this signifies, the light and the dark kind of battling if there's going to be an encounter. This was a really nice addition. Lastly, 2 more things. Treasure. You draw treasure when you kill monsters to spend in the village. And the big thing that it needed, the dungeon now, the monster deck is loaded progressively. So when you start a game, level 1 monsters come out. Then when those are done, level 2, level 3, and maybe a few level 4. So this is, it's kind of like the dungeon growing stronger as you explore. Guys, this is it. Tune back in for the first playthrough video, and I will see you soon.